Eva, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear it. I can't believe you were just telling me just before we started recording that you have been having 26 degrees over in Barcelona, and
Yes.
I've been getting ice on my car over here, so it's really getting cold in the UK. I need you to settle something for me before we even get into gaming,
Okay.
just for all English people around the world. Is it Barcelona or is it Barcelona? Which
Bar-
one is? Which one is it?
if you say it in Spain, in Spanish, it's Barcelona. If you
Yeah,
say it in Catalan, which is the
yeah.
dialogue we have here, it's Barcelona.
Okay, so
Barça,
if
like
you're
the football,
from, yeah, if
group.
so, if you're from Barcelona, then you say Barcelona. You don't.
Yes.
Okay, right. Well, that's it. All the English people can know now. Anyway, enough about Spanish. Let's talk about gaming. Um, One of the things that was interesting when you got in touch with me was that you're a little bit like me. That you started gaming a little bit later in your life. You weren't gaming when you were a kid necessarily. Did you play any games, video games, when you were younger?
Yeah, well, basically, I remember having a Game Boy, but I didn't really get into gaming. It was a Tetris when that happened because it came with the Tetris, right?
Yeah.
But also, I have some family members that have PC, and I remember playing Alone in the Dark or Prince of Persia, but very sporadically, just when I visit them or such. I was never into gaming as a hobby. I
Yeah.
prefer just to roller skate, dance, and I don't know, do other things, not gaming. I didn't have that influence around.
Okay. So when did you actually start gaming then? How old were you when you started gaming?
36. So
30. You can't be 30. You can't even be 36 now. What do you this can't be the
I'm
case.
41. I'm 41.
No. This is
I
the
don't
face of
mind
a person that's
saying.
in their 40s. You look far too young for this. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm already past the 40, so I'm towards my 50s already.
I don't
And
know. You're far from that. Don't wish the time away.
but
So you
but
started
I
when you were
say
36.
Yeah, I say it with proud. I arrived from a different country because I was working abroad, and I started gaming at 36 when I just landed back to my hometown, Barcelona.
And what was the thing that prompted you, or what were you gaming on to start with when you first started gaming? Was it a PC? Was it a console? Was it
It
a
was a
handheld?
console. Yeah, it was
What
a
were you?
console, handheld.
Okay.
I'm a very handheld fan person,
Uh-huh.
so as my name says, I'm cozy. I like to cuddle up and put in any corner, and I've never enjoyed a lot even watching my husband playing in the TV. I find it like quite clunky to get all the setup running and
Yeah,
such.
yeah.
I rather prefer to get a um hardware and sit anywhere. But yeah, I started with a Nintendo Switch. That's how everything started. My crazy journey started. But that only opened my wish to really enjoy other type of consoles that were a little bit more retro background. But yeah, I could say I was just born as a gamer with Nintendo Switch, and especially with the Nintendo Switch that my husband bought to me because it was so cute. It was the Animal Crossing version, so
I
that
love the
spoiled
Nintendo
me.
Switch. What the Nintendo Switch was, the thing that got me back into gaming as well. Actually, I got a PlayStation 5 later on because I wanted to do, multiplayer games with my friends online, and there was some of that on Nintendo Switch. But really, what I wanted to play was Warzone with my friends at the time. But yeah, the Nintendo Switch is such a. I feel like it reinvigorated millions of people to start
Of
gaming, and it's
course,
such a wonderful console. So the first
yeah.
game you were playing was Animal Crossing.
Yes, and at back at the time, so my husband, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to expect. I was not even familiar with how to move my hands on the controller, and Animal Crossing really make that easy for anyone in the family, but especially for me, I felt that it was great because I didn't expect nothing, so you can play at your own pace, and you don't have stress around frustration about time schedules or whatsoever. You can just flow and make it your own. But that also got me intrigued into what kind of gamer should I be, or what are the things I really enjoy and what not, because that was really shocking for me. I didn't expect to have a game that was that way, and I have not seen my husband play nothing like that either, even though my husband has been collecting and playing for years.
So what kind of games were you before you picked up the Switch? What was your view of gaming? What was it?
Well, I there were pretty games, but quite competitive mechanics, such as, I don't know, I remember ateliers, or of course shooters. My husband is all about some fighting games or shoot 'em ups or beat 'em ups or even RPG. He really enjoys everything of that, but you have to be like competitive with missions. There's kind of battles, time schedule, bosses, right? Even though some are super pretty, and I enjoy those more pretty ones, they were kind of challenging, and you really need to have some skills.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was. You definitely do need some skills on some of those games. If you're talking like the Elden Rings and the Souls-like games,
scary,
scary and full of frustration. Yeah, absolutely.
Scary one for me, you know.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of being jump scared at the moment, playing horror games for October, which I'm not enjoying.
Also that.
But my community, they really love to watch it. So you were playing more the cozy stuff. So beyond Animal Crossing, what were the first games that you started to explore?
Well, basically, I did before starting gaming. I think I spent I don't know how many hours or weeks to explore other content creators that, to be honest, in Spain we didn't have many. I had to watch and consume in English. People from around the globe. I found out that cozy game or casual gaming was a concept, and then I started pulling what that meant, and then I started seeing that Harvest Moons, Rune Factory, Stardew Valley. So in the indie spectrum or in the more Nintendo-like, they were like every console has this casual walking simulator, low-pace gaming, but I had to do my own list and try to find that out. The second one that I played in Switch specifically was one called All Man Journey. And it's like a puzzle game, story-driven game made out of somebody hand painting it. So yeah, I started discovering that there was a lot of unique mechanics, such as puzzle games or walking simulator games, narrative-driven games that could be all included in what a casual gamer or a newer gamer could enjoy and could really take away. That was much my thing. So I just, every time I finish a game, I try to find, I understood some mechanics were okay for me. Then I went into, okay, what other games of this kind can I find in which console?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I loved about Switch when I got it, was all of these like really affordable, quite cheap indie games that were just beautiful. Things like Limbo and Inside and Lone Sails that were just like, you can just, I mean, Limbo and Inside were a bit kind of trippy and weird, but Lone Sails is very much just like, let's just plod along on our little ship and, you know, enjoy it. And they just look beautiful. You know, you could take a single frame from any of those games at any point and have it on your wall and it would look beautiful. And these games, you know, they cost next to nothing when you compare what you pay for, you know, if you buy a AAA game on PlayStation 5, you know, what, 60, 70, 80 pounds. I don't know what it is in euros, but you know, it's expensive. So Switch, you could really like build up a huge backlog of games and not spend very much money, but they would all be beautiful. So what was it that made, you said your husband bought you your first Switch, the Animal Crossing Switch? Had you expressed an interest in gaming, or was he just trying to lure you in to be a gamer as well?
I'm trying to contain when I'm Spanish, so sorry because I'm gonna do too easy or too hard the interview because I'm starting to refrain myself of giving you all the information
Hey man, you
at
give me
once.
every just you can be as Spanish as you want. Don't hide your Spanishness for me.
We don't breathe, we can do a full paragraph without a pause. And
That's all I want. The less I speak, the better this is. Look, people see and hear
okay,
me all the
okay,
time on these things. We want to
okay.
hear from you, Eva.
I was just expecting that question before. And the answer is it was not casual. I was just so workaholic. I never had a hobby before. Since I was 24 till my 36, I've been driving. I changed careers. I studied university again, and then I even went to another country to work, to the US. And I was just so how do you call it, petrified, even in my mental space. I was so stressed. I could not even sleep well. I could not read and concentrate. I was having a hard time when I came to Barcelona, back to Spain. I started a new job with less responsibilities, but also important strategic job, but less responsibilities on
Yeah.
me that could allow me to have a Monday to Friday job.
Yeah.
But my mental state was not in the best shape. So that's where my husband said, listen, I think that now with the new console, I'm a player, I'm a gamer, we are physical collectors, and we have a huge collection of video games, physical, as you may see on one of the sites, if the camera would open. And literally he was like, I would love you to join this hobby because I would love also for you to have an opportunity to see that there's visual novels, for example, like interactive movies and games that are more like a movie, a show, a book, but you have to be with your 5 cents on it. So maybe that's gonna allow you to have like the mentality of be present and enjoy and zoom out of your reality. And that's what I did, and really worked.
So what was there a specific game? Because I know for me there was one game that I played where I was like, oh, this is a game can be this. Like it really blew my mind. You talking about games as interactive movies and things that require you to be completely absorbed. Was there a specific game where you were like, wow, I didn't realize gaming could be this?
Well, for me, it's quite repetitive for many of your questions of the game of my life, my first game, the game that really blew my mind. I will always say Animal Crossing New Horizon for
Yeah.
many things, right? But definitely the one that allowed me to understand that gaming was something different that I had on my concept was House of Fata Morgana. So a visual novel that was very famous in Vita, in PS Vita, was ported into Switch based on limited run games. And that was super beautiful, a very deep and rich English for Spanish people, a challenge. So I had to really concentrate.
Yeah.
A little bit spooky, romantic, intriguing. So that was for me the one that I was like, wow, this is a visual novel. I want to learn more. Maybe easier English for me, please. But that was also something that really surprised me and refreshed me and make me open my joy into visual novels, which is really a different kind of genre, and people can be very niche into visual novels, games, right? So yeah.
I remember I played, because I'd had a Switch for a while and played lots of these indie games that I just talked about and really loved them, as well as playing things like Fortnite and what's the one where you play as squids? I've forgotten the name of it. You shoot ink.
Splatoon?
Splatoon, that's it. Yeah, I played Splatoon 2. So I played the competitive stuff as well. But when I got my PlayStation, I had access to all of these old AAA PlayStation games. I played God of War 2018, and it was one of those games where I was, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, I'm gonna play for an hour. To my wife, I'm gonna play for an hour. I'll be up to bed in a second. And then suddenly she comes downstairs and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and the time has just disappeared because I was so drawn into this game. I hadn't really realised how immersive, gaming could be in that sense.
Yeah, I can understand it completely. And I want to explain you an anecdote that it's like quite fun as a new gamer, which is once I went in, and I think you say I did the leap, or I jumped into my new challenges after my visual gaming, crafting, farming gaming. I was like, okay, I'm ready for something else. And my husband was like, okay, let's get into RPG. And I was, which one? Then I went into Nino Kuni, and I remember I didn't know the concept about getting things on your backpack and having to fight a boss.
Yeah.
We think you can stop the game literally to get things on your back, open the menu, level up, recharge, and keep on fighting, right? So I remember
Yeah.
my husband leaving me like quite enthusiastic with the story, the graphics, beautiful, like Studio Ghibli kind of game. And then I remember myself going into a mountain volcano with a boss for the first time, and it was 3 a.m. My husband wake up, and I supposed to be sleeping. And I was just screaming and saying all these bad words in English, in Spanish, because I was trying to fight the boss in my first run without charging myself and with
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And my husband was like, "Stop it here, Eva. You really need to know something, which is you can stop here. You need to do this. That's an RPG, and that's how I discovered just by going through it
Yeah.
as a first person eyes.
Yeah. There's
It was
nothing. The
quite
amount.
fun.
I mean, even to this day, there's still games where I found that I've rushed through it, and I'm getting to the final boss, and I don't have all the health upgrades that I need. I don't have all the, I have all the upgrades that so I'm trying to fight the final boss, and I'm still kind of a level 1 start up because I've just rushed through things. Sometimes, especially when you're a streamer, you need to go, oh, let me slow down and enjoy this, because I think there's always a temptation to mainline the story, and run through without exploring.
Yeah.
So obviously there's lots of people out there that game casually, and they'll sit on their Switch or they'll sit on their PlayStation, they'll do a couple of hours in the evening. But you took it a step further and decided to create content around the
Yes.
games that you play. You mentioned that when you started, you searched for content creators, and there were very few Spanish content creators. Is that one of the reasons that you thought, oh, let me start creating content for people like you who couldn't find other Spanish creators?
No, yes and no. So basically, I find that I was a woman already on our 30s, 40s, and I didn't have any reflection of other women in Spain that were talking about new journey as a gamer, my age, in Spanish, and casual gaming. So I was like, in Spain overall, cozy gaming is a concept that only now they understand it and they hear it. Sometimes they thought it was a mechanic, but not. It's like a feeling. It's like all itself is like an envelope, right? You can have many type of games that could be cozy. You could even have creepy, spooky, cozy games, right? So it doesn't have to be beautiful flower farming only games, which also have a misconcept. So I decided that I wanted to bring that to people like me that were lost, didn't know how to reflect, and also that they had those perceptions that gaming has to be hardcore or something that you cannot do when you're already at an age and you have some responsibilities as a mom, because we have that stigma in Spain. I don't know, we are a little bit old-fashioned in that way, a little bit less advanced than other European countries or even in America, New Zealand, Australia. I've been looking at content creators, females, also male, but also female, that are there any age. And I even follow 2 ladies that are 70, over 70, explaining their journey, that they started very oldish already in gaming. And I was like, that's exactly what I needed to feel myself, that I was not losing my time doing something productive. And the more I enjoyed gaming, the more I understood everything that was around creating a video game, which I'm very passionate about explaining too, not only the gameplay itself, but about the gaming creation and who's the team outside at the back of the game. I really wanted to give the value that it has, because in Spain it also took a time to understand that video games sell more than TV and music together, but it's really not the perception that we have. And also being a good gamer, having good gaming habits, it's something that we are constantly seeing on TV. So I just wanted just to say, hey, husbands, that you have maybe a partner, or you're a father and you have a partner that don't enjoy gaming, maybe if they can watch my videos, you can help them recommend things that could be more easy to get into it without pressuring them, and helping them to enjoy other type of gaming that if I didn't do my research so deeply, I would never have discovered,
Yeah.
because I don't think they're mainstream, and that's what I wanted to do. And apart from all of this, me trying to take my journey into somebody else to help me, and in Spanish, I also have my husband that was quite sick at the time of COVID. He developed an illness that lasted for 2 years, very concerning, and he was not very good at the mental health state of having this situation. So I thought that also me opening a channel and him feeling proud of that, and also helping me on the background to create the content for the live show, could start getting him to do something and feel productive, and also get us have a better mood and something in common. And that's how everything started. And now, after 2 years, we are having a 50-50 program. We are fighting for the days that we want to stream each other. My husband feels much better. The channel still has my name, but it's not only Cozy Game anymore.
He's stolen 50% of it from you.
Yes.
Well, that was, if that was your plan all along, then it worked. You have to accept that he's part of it now, because you used it to lure him back into gaming, and to enjoying life, and it worked.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of interesting things that you said there. I think one thing is the view of older people gaming. I'm 35, and there are, when you're 20, people look at, if you're over 30, they're like, oh my God, you're so old. They can't see a future where they're 30, and I think when you hit 30, maybe you go, actually, it's, maybe 60 is old. I'm good where I am.
Yes,
But anyway, it kind of, anything above 30, there's this weird view that, you should stop playing games at a certain age. And I think it's weird, because you say you should stop playing games, but people will sit and watch, Netflix for 3 hours a night. And that's fine, but the gaming section isn't. And I think that leads on to your other point, that most people, even lots of gamers, don't really understand the process and what goes into the creation of a game, and how much stress and hard work, and lots of developers working lots of long hours, lots of artists, lots of writers, lots of sound designers. There's all of these different aspects that go into a game. And with indie games, it's often just a handful of people doing all of those things between them. So I think people don't appreciate it's an art form.
Yeah.
It's a craft in the same way that making a film is.
Of course.
Is that something that's important for you to try and get across? Is that something like, 100%. How quickly did you discover that did you feel like it was an art form?
Very soon. So very soon. The soon as I discovered the cozy game was a concept, and started looking at cozy gaming recommendations, I started looking at who built them, how long it took, what was the skill set of that person? Was it alone a designer? What's the level designer? What the narrative behind it? Everything. So I'm a curious mind, so I really enjoyed. To be honest, I think I'm a kind of, I don't know how weird this could sound, but I'm that kind of person that will really maybe spend so much time learning about the game itself and less time maybe gaming, and that will be okay. So in the sense that I do enjoy 50-50 learning about the game just as much as having the experience of playing it myself. So I wanted to really emphasize on how much how much gaming was not only putting a code and just making something move on a screen. It's just much more in the design, conceptualist, artists like music, translation, localization. In Spain is so important, even the localization, because most of the games don't come into Spanish, right? So that was something that I was very intrigued. And of course, I work outside of my hobby. I work in a tech company, and I also see that female are less represented in my company, in our type of technical skills. So in gaming, I saw the same pattern. So I was very intrigued of how a woman that never had gaming experience, or a woman that gamed and really enjoyed it, how could they do a living from video game, and what type of profile would they develop? And on this journey, I discovered like crazy stories of people being an architect or a photographer that just learned how to work into Unity and then decided to create their own video game. So yeah, a lot of beautiful stories by understanding casual gaming and cozy games make me think, wow, there's always like a story behind why this game came to life and why I'm here just to enjoy it. And even for me, it's like a small, silly game, beautiful game. It really took a lot of effort of a lot of
Yeah,
people just to do
yeah,
this.
yeah. More so than if you maybe like if you're filming a 10-minute film or 10-minute show or a video to recreate that in in
Yeah.
code and design and scripting and all those things is a lot of work. Is there a secret game maybe from you? Are you gonna get into the technical side of things? Are you gonna try to develop a game at any point, or is that
No, at all. Not at all.
no? You're just gonna enjoy playing and learning about them. You don't want
Yes.
to get into the development of them, no?
No, 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 no. I think that my objective through my channel or through my existence, that I just use my channel for, is trying to give the visibility of the potentiality of things that you can do to create a game, or how much effort is put into doing a game and enjoying a game. So I'm trying to do that through my podcast and the way I review games. I try to make a small gameplays and then talk a lot about the team and about some experiences that people may not notice just by playing, right? That's my thing.
So how have you found it? Is the majority of your content is Spanish language? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
So how have you found it? You mentioned that when you kind of started, that you felt like there were a limited amount of Spanish creators, certainly a limited amount of female Spanish creators. Have you found that has changed? Have you started a revolution? Are we seeing more
that has
Spanish?
not changed.
No.
That has not changed. So unfortunately, for Spanish women, and in my genre or style of cozy gamer, there's still like handful. You can count them on 5 that do this type of game and of type of content. Female podcasts, we have a lot, but maybe they're just via iVoox, Spotify. They are not on camera.
Okay.
So there's a lot of magazine, article, press, podcasting with women included about video gaming, actual retro cozy gaming, but they are not forward facing. So that is
Right.
also very interesting to see. Hopefully that's changing, and I'm trying to make myself in front of people saying, look, I have no much to bring. It's just my opinions and my investigations, but I hope people get a little bit less
Yeah,
scary.
I think we need to see you roaming the streets of Barcelona with a Switch in your hand, just getting everyone to play and experience it. That's the content we need.
Well, you know what I really enjoy and gives me a lot of motivation to continue is like many times people have written me in YouTube or in our Twitch or in our Telegram, because we have like a Telegram
Yeah.
account, which is like a WhatsApp group of our community, where we talk. And a lot of people have said, Eva, I have my partner, my wife, somebody I knew now into gaming, because you gave, first of all, because you and your husband humbly and innocently talk about your experience that have make people less scary about it, and also have open recommendations that they never thought. But good news for me, now they're enjoying my hobby, and this is great for me. And a lot of them are women that were not before gaming, so I don't think it's going to be very useful for me to go in my Nintendo Switch. But even though I have one or two wins on a month that say, hey, I'm into gaming because you inspired or you open us an opportunity, I really feel very, very accomplished.
I mean, it's a huge. I think if you can have an impact on just one person, it's a huge accomplishment.
Yes.
If you have an impact on lots of people, which I'm sure you are, even better. So what's the you've now you kind of started gaming, you took the leap and built up a channel, and you're that is successful for you. You still work alongside content creation. Is
Yes.
that correct? Is there a plan for you to say, I'm going to dedicate all of my time? Is that like an aspiration for you to say, if I can dedicate all of my time to this, or do you want to maintain it as a hobby?
I want to maintain it as a hobby, but I want to get better at it. So yeah, I'm self-learning, and I like to always, when there's a new software, new tool, I'm the first beta tester. I love to try new things. So because we stream 2 and 3 hours a day, except Saturdays, my husband and me, every night, you can find us on Twitch Live. Sometimes we multi-stream, but that's not normal. We have a lot of limited time to do anything else in content creation. However, we have tested and we have understood that Twitch doesn't allow us to get to new audience. Therefore, I had to open a Twitter account, Instagram, TikTok, which I'm awful on it, and YouTube to put the VODs, the videos, etc. So I started to do and to learn how to evolve and adapt into each platform, and how much people from the outside on those channels and social media could then understand that you exist, right? So my challenge is to ensure that I can adapt content or even create content like I do for YouTube, that I exclusively for YouTube. I have not enough time because I stream so many hours, and the rest take us so much time, because if you stream 6 out of 7 days a week, you have a lot of backlog to do things up, and to even notify in socials 6 times on a week is already a lot. But I'm trying to get better and to understanding. I do it like chapters, like in a program. I'm trying to learn about Instagram and do things better in Instagram, and trying to learn TikTok and knowing what I'm doing a little bit more. And I've only improved my Twitter, because that is something that it's really immediate, and a lot of video game industry people are. I really got better there. I also got better at YouTube, but still on the process of getting myself into better numbers and better engagement views. And then I will open into something else. But yeah, I've also acknowledged that people need to consume content in different from what we create content in streams, and we have very long streaming hours. So that is not consumable for my other channels. I need to ensure that I can create things in a different format, or just different content for it. And that could be, that would be lovely. I think that I've heard from many of people that you've brought into your interviewing, but also from other people that have been sharing their experiences on YouTube, etc., that if you need to get better at content creator, you have to stop streaming that much. That's the number one trick. And that's exactly what I took. And I only started to stop streaming myself that much last month. Now my husband is taking over. And I'm focusing on content creator, but I'm now in the learning, consuming all the best practices of you.
I think it's a typical process that you go through when you start streaming. Is you go, to get more, I need to do more. So you start off, you stream a little bit, and then as you start to get viewers, you go longer and longer and longer, and then suddenly 4 or 5 hours of your day is taking up with streaming, and then like you say, you build up this huge backlog. And I remember, I think what people need to remember is, for every 3-hour stream, to go up and clip that up into short form, if you want to do that for TikTok, is like probably takes 6 or 8 hours, because you have to watch that whole thing through, take all the clips, re-edit all, so there's so much. So yeah, I think, the first person to give me that advice was just Callan, who I think you know. She's so wonderful. She was like, if I was to start again, I wouldn't stream as much. And
I heard her say that.
Yeah, almost exclusively every streamer that I've spoke to that is serious about creating content as well has said exactly the same thing. There's only so many hours in the day, and there's lots of platforms and lots of content. So, what's the most difficult when you started creating the content around this? One of the things I always say to people is you don't realize when you're hiring a creator that you're hiring an editor and a script writer and a designer and all of these things that you have to learn. What was the most challenging or the most daunting thing when you started to create content where you thought, I'm going to struggle with? Was it editing? Was it designing? Was there were there any things that you were worried about?
Editing. So scripting for me was not a problem. Learning about how to do, how do you call it? Thumbnails. Yeah. I think all of that is quite, you can replicate, understand what works, what not. And also the scripting with the hook and action, takeaway action, first 2 minutes, blah, blah, blah. All of that is something that you can get better. And I'm used to talk in public, and I'm a salesperson at work. So I'm fine with that and giving presentations. So that was not the big thing for me. The thing was to know what will get more interesting, how to prioritize out of our interview. If I have 5 pieces of content, which one should I publish for when, to keep people seeing my second, my third, and my fourth clip of it, right? So all that strategy of when do I post, what are the things that will tell the story in a better way so you don't come crazy like just notifying people that you have content, but they are not cohesive to each other. That was the thing that was very important for me. It's like, I want to have a channel that makes sense, not just a channel that don't stop spamming me of notifications for content.
Right. Yeah.
I want to have like an identity of what type of programs and content these people have. But also the other piece was, I want to make it and to reach the audience. So how can I put the keywords? How can I edit better with effects? So all that technical piece of the back of the content, that was the difficult, and it's still the difficult one for me.
Yeah, it never stops. It's
Yes.
it's never ending. You learn to. I think when you start to edit, you learn how to chop things up, and then you see somebody do something, and you go, "Oh, how did they do that?"
Yes.
And then you learn that, and
You know how I feel? I feel like a filming study person.
yeah,
That after doing some filming and classes or photography classes, you stop looking at the photography itself, but you start looking at the footage and the scenery, and you start understanding with the different glasses what people are doing. So I'm analyzing content from other content creators all day long.
Yeah. It happens. I think it's easy to become obsessed, and I think sometimes one of the things that I did is, when you learn a new thing, you use it all the time. So the first time you learn that you can do like a whip transition. Where it's like, it's like every single cut was like, okay, I was like, okay, I'm overusing that now. Now I need to. Then you learn to start to use it as a craft, as opposed to like, opposed to just tools. You're like, okay, how does this? When is that? When's the right time to use this? When's the right time to use that? So what's next for you then? I have to apologize because I've been calling you I've been ruining your beautiful Spanish name by applying my English accent to it and calling you Eva, but it's Eva. Is that right?
Yeah, in Spanish, or in Spain, I'm called Eva.
Yeah.
But don't worry, because I work
you've got to teach. The thing is with the English, we're a very arrogant bunch. We will say things. We'll just say it loudly and hope for the best.
My employer is English, so don't worry. Really,
so you know what we're
work,
like then.
Yeah, I know. And at work, they call me Evie. So
okay.
People just call me differently, and I just respond to all of them. I'm used to it now. And yeah, it's Eva. At home.
Okay, Eva. Okay, well, we'll go with Eva then, because that's correct. very arrogantly assumed that it was
No,
either
don't
at the
worry.
start. You should have
So,
told me.
what? No, don't worry. What is next for me? So basically, this year we changed the programming to have different content. Like if it was a channel, depending on the day, you have what type of content from my husband or from me. So we just want to keep exploring that. So I'll just give a quick summary of what you can find on our channel. So Mondays, you find my husband doing blind runs about sponsorships that we have from video game companies. So we do blind runs. Like we play 30 minutes each game and we talk about the studios behind. We do some giveaways. So that's also the next level that we reach based on giving love for a lot of companies that also want to benefit us, our community. We want to keep on doing that. And we also are very proud to bring games that are maybe less mainstream. We do have mainstream games, but less mainstream too. Tuesday, it's my day of gaming and blind runs with video games and studies. So we do the same. We give like snapshot of games that went out that month. On Wednesday, we do some special day, which is I talk about cozy gaming news, releases, or trends, or something, but it's more like an education news stream. Thursday, my husband does the same, but in retro collection, physical collection. He's very big at importing game and knowing about US, Japan publishers. So he gives a lot of news that people really like to don't have to wait to look at 20 newsletters, etc. And then on Friday we have podcasting. So on Friday is the fun day where we put a group of people talking about video games, the hobby. So we turn and we have a shift between woman podcast and male podcast. So he drives one, I drive the other, and also we have interviews. So we bring people that are on the industry to talk about their game or about their journey. So that's the Friday podcasting. And on Sundays, everybody has a blast because we have a more casual stream and we also bring unboxings and things that we receive during the week because we are physical game collector and people really appreciate to see, they love to see boxings, unboxings and things like that. So that's what it is. And what I want to continue doing or do more of is doing more podcasting and more interviewing. So I think that we want to maybe do less stream every week, but I would like to level up or bring more of the interviewing piece of studios, woman in gaming. I have that program, which is the journey of a woman in gaming. So I want to double that up and be less in stream. So maybe what I'm doing is I'm cutting off my gameplays and I don't do them in stream anymore. What I do is I record myself. I record myself doing the game blind run, and then at the end, I put 5 minutes of review, call for action, introduction to the team, etc. So I've just cut it on my streaming time, and I just do that in content creation, and then I can.
Isn't it so much easier to
Yeah.
make content like that when you're not streaming at the same time?
Yeah, of course. I need hours. I don't sleep for editing. My backlog is so huge and we produce so much in a week that I cut sleep to my hobby. So I needed to find ways that when I stream, I think it's worth it that we are in stream with people interviewing because people in the community can enjoy asking questions at the spot.
Yeah.
But we always know, and I think many people, if you're not super successful in gaming specifically, or you're not a very big streamer, content creator, the numbers in gaming always go down or 50% of what it is when you have different type of content. So we started doing that aside.
I am blown away by how much you're getting done and how organized you are, and just what a wonderful vibe you've got. I'm really excited. I'm probably going to have to learn Spanish now, aren't I, to be able to understand the content.
Yeah, be aware. I am doing all my videos. So for those listening me, and thank you for bringing me. This is my first time talking about my hobby with somebody not Spanish. So thank you. It's my first interview outside Spain.
You've done it
Thank
wonderfully.
you. And I have to say that I'm very glad that you gave me this opportunity because since the day one, I'm translating and I'm putting subtitles for English for my streams. I know it's not going to get there, but I hope that maybe I'm not only limiting myself to Spanish people, and that YouTube has this possibility of having the scripts out there. So yeah, I would love to have English people that then maybe starts learning Spanish.
That's it. We'll all be. Well, I think it's a possibility. I mean, I love what you're doing. I love the story. Remind me again, because you've mentioned a few times you guys collect physical games, and you
Yeah.
did mention to me in the message when we were talking before how many games you guys
Yeah,
own, physical games.
I think that's a very nice fun fact. So we have around 7,000 games, physical games.
Wow.
And I don't know if I can move like this, my camera, but you will see here a little reddish coming on one side.
Yes.
That is a big shelf of Nintendo Switch, but Nintendo Switch is the biggest collection out of the 7,000.
Wow.
And I believe, I don't know, because to be honest, I don't compare myself, but I have not met a woman or nobody in Spain that has over 2,300 Nintendo Switch games, which is what I do have. And I am very proud because my husband is like the owner of the PlayStation, but I own, and I always say, I'm the boss of the Nintendo Switch. So it's my collection. So
Well,
yeah, I'm very
if you
proud of
think, if anyone thinks, if you're Spanish and watching this, if you're in Spain and you think you have more games than ever on Nintendo Switch, then let us know down in the comments. I don't think you do. I think you win that, Eva. So
And I don't. To be honest, we've never had a willingness or accomplishment or competition of I want to have so many games. We don't care. We just collect them and start playing, and then the
Yeah.
backlog gets huge, etc. The fact is, I have very weird games. Like I have a lot of video games that I imported from Japan, but they have subtitles in English that people are not knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
So if this could intrigue you there, not just to be mad at me or not just to compete about the numbers, but if you are looking forward to have like weird recommendations, that's exactly what I would love to be remembered by.
Perfect. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been really wonderful speaking to you, and
You're
nice to
welcome.
get a perspective from a European or Spanish gamer. And someone who started a little bit later, like me too. I didn't get started in gaming properly till I was in my 30s myself. So, yeah, it's been
Nobody
wonderful
can
speaking
stop
to
me
you.
now.
No, that's it. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. I was very similar to you, where I said, "Oh, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get a Switch, and then I'm gonna get this, and then suddenly this is what I'm doing with my
Yeah.
life." So
Yes, exactly.
and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's wonderful. Yeah, but thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. It's been a real pleasure
Thank
to
you.
have you on the podcast. And guys, make sure you go and check Ever out. And yeah, get your Duolingo out. Get your learning Spanish if you don't know it already, and enjoy the content. Or watch
so
with the
much.
subtitles on. All the effort that goes into it.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure we'll speak again soon, Eva. And thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much.